What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we're talking all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all that good stuff. So, yeah, we've got another topic to talk about now, and that is the news that came out a few days ago now of Daniel Dubois splitting, or could we say firing his trainer, Don Charles, and hiring, Sam Jones as his new manager. Now, Sam Jones is quite a prominent figure in UK boxing scene. He's been working with Joe Joyce and who was it with Catterall as well, and some other fighters. Sam Jones, and he's a good mouthpiece. He's a good talker. He's a guy that's a good manager. He promotes fights very well, and he's very good at speaking up for his fighters. So in that regard, I can sort of see the point of bringing him in for Daniel Dubois, because Daniel Dubois, he's a guy that people have been saying, oh, he's a bit on the spectrum and a bit slow and stuff like that. And if you know anything about Daniel Dubois, first part of his career, he hardly said a word. He just is one of those people that doesn't really talk much, doesn't like to talk much, and he's been expressing himself over the past couple of years a bit more, but generally speaking, he's not a talker. So they've brought in Sam Jones, which I think, yeah, that could be a good idea, a good move. It'll be a good move because he'll do the talking for you, and Daniel Dubois doesn't talk. So there you go. Um, I think it may run into conflict a bit with perhaps his father, with is it Stan Dubois, because he's quite controlling of Daniel Dubois' career and he directs him, and it kind of reminds me in a way of, although I don't know as much about him, it kind of reminds me in a way of how Joe Jackson was very controlling over his sons and his daughters and his kids' music careers. Dubois, when you see him and the way he acts and the way he talks about his dad, he seems to have been in that kind of sheltered lifestyle. He kind of, people talk about, oh, he's a bit funny, but I think a lot of the way his character is probably because of perhaps living more of a sheltered life where you're looking for your dad in the ring, and you're very directed by your dad, and I can understand that because his dad brought them all up. And then they're also, as I've said, they've got rid of Don Charles now, and the rumors are that Tony Sims, I believe, is going to come in. But when I listened to an interview today of Daniel Dubois, he said, when he was asked directly about it by, I think it was Spencer Oliver, he just said, look, I can't talk about that now. I can't say anything about that now. So he wasn't really willing to divulge who the new trainer was going to be, but he was open to say that, yes, Sam Jones is on board and Don Charles is no longer going to be with us. Don Charles has done a great job. And yeah, to me, with that move, I don't know who they're going to bring in. I think it could be a good move with the trainer wise, but at the same time, I think it could also be a bad move because although yes, Don Charles, they had a couple of losses to Usyk in there. I mean, you're losing to the best, so you can't really judge him too harshly on that. But I think that the fact that Don Charles sort of had a kind of formula with Daniel Dubois, you could tell that he was good at pushing and motivating Dubois, and I thought they had a pretty decent setup and a pretty decent understanding with one another. So, and I think the fact that Don Charles, I think they've had about a year and a half together. I think, it would have been better if they just carried on with Don Charles, because to be fair, Don Charles got Daniel Dubois to the world title win and everything, and several victories where he had to overcome and dig his heels in, and I think he got some very good results out of Daniel Dubois, and they seem to have a good relationship with one another. So to me, I kind of find it to be a strange move to be getting rid of him, because at the end of the day, you compare the two Usyk fights, he wasn't close to winning either one of them. But outside of that, the other he had some good results, and they seem to be getting along quite well. So I don't know the reason. It's a bit of a weird one for me. Some have suggested it might be a case of something between maybe the family and Don Charles, maybe between Dubois' dad and Don Charles. Maybe that's why. Maybe he's just made that decision. Maybe it's not Daniel's decision at all. But according to what Daniel Dubois is actually saying, he said it is my decision. I think I need a fresh change. And Don Charles has done a great job with me. But to be honest, to me, I don't really see the merit of getting rid of Don Charles. I don't think he was on a bad. I think he was on a good run of form, and if it ain't broke, then why fix it? But anyway, it all remains to be seen. That's just my brief thoughts on it. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out.